community are committed to programmes that seek to reduce sexual and gender-based violence and to empower women. Are these the right focus for the programmes to tackle gender inequality, and is there anything missing from the current approach that you'd like to see happen?
I haven't detailedly looked at the DFID's project, to be honest. But what I come across with the couple of reports and the regulations that I read, there is only one thing that maybe I would like to mention here, is that especially in the terminology part, I think there is a big problem, because in DFID's reports that I come across, they're talking about gender-based violence, which sounds like equal to violence against women and girls. So I think there's a kind of problem in the terminology, that it's like the word gender is kind of using as a very technical, but actually gender is a very political term. So I think there's a misunderstanding that women and girls equal to gender. But this, I think, is very problematic, because when we define the problem in a wrong way, which is, okay, this is a problem for women and girls, then we're missing the solution part as well. As Sarah mentioned, we are missing the boys and men, for example. So I think when we talk about gender, these reports and the people who are creating these reports need to understand gender in a much broader sense. So it shouldn't be only adding some women and girls to the projects, or kind of trying to achieve a numerical data, but it should be a more broad gender understanding and a gender solution.
Does anyone want to add anything to that quickly?
Yes, having
Briefly,
been
please,
looking at DFID for over 10 years now, we feel that the sectorial and thematic approach might not give a long-term solution or have a long-term impact. They have to really target women in specific project for women within their project, and specifically contextualizing, as I said earlier, with the needs on the ground, because I think they have to trust organizations that are on the ground, Congolese women organizations, find out what are the needs. They have already all these documents, the reports are there. All they need to do is now tapping in the project. Of course, they need to audit those projects, and instead of bringing in new organization, because there's the Pépinière is an organization that is run from an NGO that came from the UK. That means they had to install that project, fund that project, fund salary, and there is a lot of money going into the mechanism bureaucratically. So
to use organisations on the ground, what very quickly would you say is the most important single factor to achieve gender inequality?
Well, so
if you can do that in a minute, you'll get a big prize. We've got one more question.
Gender equality can only be achieved through the rule of law.
Yeah.
That's it. And the fact that there is no, the state is weak, institutions are weak, we will not achieve gender equality. In this country already, we can see that we are, as women, campaigning on gender equality. It's already a challenge just here in the UK. So imagine in the Congo, where we have 20 years of war, we need gender equality to be addressed through the rule of law, and we need international example. The UK, as a United Nations Security Council member, have to set a standard, and this standard will be followed by regional, national, and at the local level. And at the moment, I will try to link development with political will, because there could not be any prosperity in the Congo without democracy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Given the evidence that we've heard this morning, what are the main barriers to women's economic empowerment, and how can these be overcome?
Well, I can try to answer that. Our program has a very explicit objective to try to improve not just women's engagement in markets, but improving their position within those markets, improving their ability to control assets, to generate and capture more of the value within the markets. What we often find is that social norms play a significant role in the role that women play in these markets. So those are more challenging to try to address. However, what we can do is we can try to identify those areas, and what we do is identify those areas in markets in which we can pilot and test different rules for women. If we can demonstrate that they play as efficient, if not a more effective role in that market, then you see market actors sort of crowding in. I'll give you an example of that. We were working with mobile money operators, so the mobile phone operators, and they have a model in which they have agents who sign up customers and who then will transact with customers. And what they found was we encouraged them to pilot women agents in their structure, in their business model, something they hadn't done before. And within that small pilot, they were able to actually prove that actually women seem to have greater trust with clients. They were able to generate more trust with clients. They were able to build stronger repeat customers. So where women weren't playing that role before, we were able to just pilot and test something and demonstrate to a substantial actor, as a mobile operator, to try to incorporate that into their business model. So now they actively seek out opportunities to recruit and build up women agents, not solely to service women, but also to men. So that's just a small example of where we aim to change the role that they play. We obviously also work in sectors in which we already know that women are active. But what we find, over the 3-4 years I've worked there, I found it more challenging than I had anticipated. We'd hoped that women, or our initial analysis was that women were more active in agriculture, in the trade aspects. And while it does exist, I think we've been disappointed with how the social dynamics sort of have almost limited their opportunities to actually capture more of the value and benefit. But mobile money seems to be an area in which it provides great opportunities for women to be able to capture, to retain value. Renewables, the areas that we work on with improved cook stoves, where women normally manage the household expenditure. If they're able to save money on their energy costs, that has a big impact. So we're looking at how can we improve women through changing the roles they play, but also in trying to improve how they can sort of control the assets within those value chains.
Thank you. This morning we heard about the empowerment of adolescent girls in Kinshasa, and your written evidence, I believe, mentioned briefly DFID's La Pépinière programme, which is looking at the empowerment of adolescent girls. How much knowledge sharing is there across the programmes in DRC about what works and what can be applied more broadly? Also, we heard this morning about women becoming empowered but then being sexually exploited. Are there risk management aspects of the programme?
In terms of the collaboration between programs, it's definitely improving, and it's increased not just between advisors within La Pépinière, but also within our sister program, ESSOR, which is the Business Environment Program. So I think across the different, let's say, portfolio of programs, there is. I think we often, socialize together. We share the same experts. We work on the same issues. It's a tough place, so you naturally gravitate and share lessons. Sorry, the second part of your question?
Well, is it going to be applied more broadly? And this morning we also heard about women becoming empowered but then being open to sexual exploitation. So are there risk management aspects to the programmes that you're working on?
I think that's actually one of the key drivers and rationale for working in mobile money and branchless banking, as we saw that if women were carrying less cash when they transacted, when they went to markets, that would have an effect, or our assumption is it would reduce the likely the risks. It's not an area of my expertise, but what we do is every time we develop an intervention, we look at what are those elements of the change of business. Would it, we need to ensure it does no harm. It doesn't further, put people at risk. So that's the very first thing we do is test out our theories around that do no harm principle, and then we look at how can we improve their position in the market. So looking more proactively upwards.
Thanks very much indeed.